Wei Shao had not returned home for many years. This time, he came back to divorce me and give his wife and daughter outside a proper status. When he saw me holding a small child by the hand, he grew angry and said, "How dare you marry someone else and have a child?" I ignored him and simply stroked the child's head. "Ayu. This is your uncle." Wei Shao's expression softened slightly, and he happily picked up Ayu, placing him on his shoulders to play. "When did you marry, brother? The child is already so big. Where is your wife?" "What?" "I'm right here in front of him. My father is the wealthiest man in Yangzhou. Half a year ago, the Wei family, the Duke of the State, and my family were involved in a life-threatening incident. The Wei family needed money to cover military expenses. My family needed power to counter the Yangzhou prefect. The two families struck a deal, and I became the fiancé of the second young master, Wei Shao. Through this marriage, the Wei family was spared the death sentence of having their entire clan exiled. My family recovered the goods seized by the Yangzhou prefect. What should have been a happy ending came to an abrupt halt after a letter from Wei Shao's mother. Wei Shao's mother demanded that I pack my belongings and go to the Wei family in the capital. Before the wedding, she wanted to teach me the rules of being a merchant's wife in the Wei family. Every word in the letter was filled with undisguised contempt and disgust for me. This journey felt like walking into an abyss or a sea of fire. After my brother and I read the letter, we felt no worry. My mother is greedy for money, and my father is lustful. They only know how to enjoy themselves. No one could have imagined. The vast fortune of the Qin family was earned by my brother and safeguarded by me. Going to the Wei family to marry is secondary. The primary goal is to leverage the influence of the Wei Guogong mansion to secure the title of imperial merchant, enabling the Qin family to establish roots in the officialdom and have our descendants pass the imperial examinations and enter the government. I dried the farewell note I had written and attached the letter Wei Mu had originally sent to my parents. I instructed the housekeeper to wait for the Duke of Wei on his way back from court and hand it to him personally. As I had anticipated, the Duke of Wei was surprised to see my housekeeper. After opening the letter written by Lady Wei, he was so enraged that his beard trembled. He ordered the housekeeper to record my current address and then stormed back to the mansion. The letter sent by Lady Wei did not bear the seal of the Duke of Wei nor her own private seal. If I were to rashly go to the Duke's mansion to pay my respects, she had not written a single word about it, leaving me in a dilemma. A single inappropriate word could cause me to lose face on my first appearance at the Duke's mansion, making me a laughingstock. The servants would look down on me. I would unknowingly drift away from the center of power within the inner quarters and be marginalized. I could forget about ever gaining control over household affairs in the future. Such tactics were something I hadn't used on my father's concubines in ages. I never expected that the wife of a duke in the capital would still resort to such underhanded methods. In the evening, the steward of the Duke of Wei's household saddled a horse and came to fetch me personally. He said the Duke of Wei had arranged a welcome banquet for me in the courtyard of the old matriarch and invited me to attend. I sealed a thick stack of silver notes for the steward. The Wei family is currently short on funds due to military expenses and has many debts outside. As long as I hold this leverage, I need not worry about this marriage going awry. The Wei matriarch cannot see the situation clearly, but the Duke of Wei and the old matriarch who manages the inner quarters are as clear as a mirror. By marrying me, the Wei family's debt of 30,000 taels of gold to the Qin family would be immediately settled. Not only that, but I also bring a generous dowry to subsidize the Wei family. But if the Wei family were to renege on the marriage, let alone whether they could repay the Qin family the 10,000 taels of gold, the Duke's mansion is already struggling to make ends meet. They can only rely on pawning the old lady's dowry and selling official positions to keep the Duke's mansion afloat. They desperately need a lifeline to keep the Wei family alive. How could they let me go so easily? The Wei family has cut back on the benefits they used to give to their servants. The housekeeper, who received a generous reward from me, was very enthusiastic on the way here. The housekeeper told me, after the Duke of Wei read the letter in the morning, He returned home and had a fierce argument with Lady Wei. He insisted on sending his niece, Zhou Muyu, back to the Zhou family and forbidding anyone from the Zhou family to ever set foot in their house again. Lady Wei refused to agree. But she couldn't stop the Duke of Wei. She had someone bring Wei Shao back. And only then was she able to stop him. Zhou Muyu is Lady Wei's niece and also the object of Wei Shao's affection. The Duke of Wei looked down on the fallen Zhou family and had always refused to approve their marriage. The Duke of Wei's mother had repeatedly, without showing her true feelings, forced the Duke of Wei to give up his chosen bride. She had intended to delay Wei Shao's marriage. She wanted the Duke of Wei to eventually agree to marry his niece from his wife's family. Who would have thought that this marriage would end up on my head? Wei Mu was so enraged she nearly spat blood. Snarling, "The Qin family isn't even worthy of tying our Zhou family's shoes." Wei Guogong sneered. "When the Wei family was in trouble, did you go to your maternal family to borrow money? Did you manage to secure even a single coin? Your elder brother wouldn't even open the door for you." Wei Mu was left speechless in embarrassment. Upon arriving at the gates of the Wei mansion, I distributed some golden-laid melon seeds to the gatekeeper in front of the servants. Everyone was amazed. These were rare treasures bestowed by imperial nobles. Yet here was a merchant's daughter being so generous. The steward was a favorite of the Wei Duke, making him the first to benefit from my generosity. All the servants in the Wei mansion should know that flattering me would bring them rewards. As long as the benefits were sufficient, they didn't care who they served. The first step in winning hearts was to distribute wealth. When I paid my respects to the old matriarch, I presented her with a jade bracelet of the highest quality, with an unparalleled water-like luster. The bracelet's value lies not in its intrinsic worth. It represents the prestige behind it. This bracelet was originally a pair, the final masterpiece of the late Master Mu Rong. The other one was purchased by the wife of the Duke of Ning and given to the old matriarch of the Ning family. The old matriarch finally lifted her eyelids, revealing a hint of surprise. My older brother had arrived in the capital ahead of me to investigate and spend a fortune gathering information. The Wei Guogong mansion and the Ning Guogong mansion had been at odds for years. After the Wei family fell into disgrace, it happened to be the day of the old matriarch of the Ning family's 60th birthday. At the banquet, the old matriarch of the Ning family wore the other bracelet from the pair and humiliated the old matriarch of the Wei family. Lady Ning mocked her, saying that the Wei family was about to fall into decline, and that her daughter-in-law was merely the legitimate daughter of a fourth-rank official, whose background couldn't compare to her own daughter-in-law, who was born a princess. Moreover, her family was poor and destitute. Lady Wei was so enraged she spat blood. But she couldn't refute a single word. The lady of the Ning Kingdom's mansion was born a princess and came from the imperial palace, with a prosperous family fortune. Meanwhile, Lady Wei was merely the legitimate second daughter of a fourth-rank official. If it weren't for the fact that the old matriarch's first few sons had all died on the battlefield, the title would never have fallen to Lady Wei's father. Since Lady Wei's father inherited the title, she became the lady of the kingdom's mansion. She was required to attend banquets in the capital, but her petty demeanor made her look out of place, bringing shame upon the Wei family. The old matriarch had long been dissatisfied with Wei Mu's humble origins. Now, with the Wei family in disgrace, Wei Mu's family had immediately distanced themselves, further deepening the old matriarch's loathing. I glanced at Lady Wei's ugly expression and laughed indifferently. My mother selected this one after much consideration. It has more intricate designs than the one the princess purchased, with the intertwined thread patterns symbolizing a prosperous family with many children and blessings. I hope the old lady will like it. Wei's mother's hands, clutching the prayer beads, turned white, and her face stiffened. She had been dragging out Wei Shao's marriage, which was affecting the marriages of the other children. Ning Lao Taijun was several years younger than Wei Lao Taijun and already had 3 great-grandchildren. Wei Lao Taijun gave Wei's mother a cold glance and smiled as she took my hand. "Good child. You've been thoughtful. I've had a room prepared for you in my courtyard. Stay here until your wedding day." At these words, the faces of the relatives, sisters-in-law, and ladies present all changed. Standing beside Lady Wei's mother was a young woman with a delicate face and a hint of spring in her eyes. Upon hearing this, her eyes immediately turned red. It was Lady Wei's niece, Zhou Muyu. When I was led away to see the room, everyone else in the house was dismissed by Lady Wei's grandmother. Only Lady Wei's mother was left behind. The wet nurse whispered worriedly in my ear, "Miss, your actions have completely offended your future mother-in-law." I replied calmly, "Our interests are at odds. It's either you die or I live. If I keep yielding, people will think I'm weak and easy to bully, which isn't good at all." There was a fundamental conflict of interest between me and Lady Wei. No matter how much I tried to please her, it would only earn me cold scorn. Since that was the case, it was better to just tear off the mask and confront her head-on. The first person in charge in this mansion is the Duke of Wei. The second is the old lady. And Wei Mu is third. Since she doesn't want me to have it easy, I naturally have to find someone above her to control her. Once Wei Mu loses her power, Zhou Muyu, who relies on her to survive in this duke's mansion, will no longer be a threat. The banquet to welcome me was already arranged by the Duke of Wei, who had sent someone to the Imperial Academy to inform Wei Shao of the time. But he hasn't arrived yet. Zhou Muyu, sitting beside me, spoke gently. "Miss Qin, don't be angry. My cousin went to buy some sweet cakes for me. I've been suffering from a cold recently, and the medicine is too bitter. My cousin feels sorry for his younger sister, so he went out to buy it for me." As she spoke, her cheeks flushed with a delicate blush. Her voice was neither too loud nor too soft, but in the quiet atmosphere, everyone could hear every word clearly. If it were any other noble lady or spoiled young miss in the capital, knowing that her fiancé had not yet married and already had such a close cousin in his household. The cousin clearly has a family and is also in the capital, yet she is living so ambiguously in her cousin's house. She must have already lost her composure and driven him to the brink, right into Zhou Muyu's trap. The Duke of Wei's face darkened, and even the kind-hearted old matriarch's lips tightened. The Duke's mother gave me a cold glance and said, "Your second brother favors his cousin. Qin girl, you should do the same." I nodded with a smile. Of course. My second cousin's cousin is my cousin as well. When my cousin gets married in the future, I will personally prepare a generous dowry for her. Wei Mu's mother choked, and Zhou Muyu bit her lip tightly. Only Wei Guogong looked back and forth between them and laughed. Excellent. Excellent. Wei Shao arrived late at this moment, breaking the awkward atmosphere. He had inherited the appearance of the Duke of Wei, looking dashing and charming. However, compared to his elder brother Wei Zhao, it was like comparing heaven and earth. I had already seen Wei Zhao at the banquet earlier, so when I looked at him now, he seemed ordinary. The Duke of Wei smiled and said, "I suppose the master kept you behind to study." Wei Shao nodded. "Yes, father. That's why I'm late." At the table where the young masters and ladies were seated, a few low laughs could be heard. Wei Shao was confused, but Zhou Muyu's eyes turned red. Wei's mother frowned and said, "Hurry up and take your seat." This meal felt like watching a play. Wei Shao sat at the men's table, but his gaze kept drifting toward Zhou Muyu. Midway through the meal, Zhou Muyu excused herself, claiming to feel unwell. Wei Shao grew visibly restless. He stood up to speak, but was interrupted by Wei Guogong. "Sure, oh. Come here and meet your fiancé." Wei Shao glanced at me, then immediately frowned and turned away. His already unpleasant expression grew even uglier. It was because I was not as beautiful as Zhou Muyu, nor did I possess her delicate charm. But there was nothing I could do about it. If I were too delicate, how could I command respect and manage the Qin family? A woman in charge of the household must exude authority. After the meal, the Duke of Wei ordered Wei Shao to escort me back to my guest room. Upon arrival, Wei Shao didn't leave. He spoke to me coldly, uttering his first words to me that night. "I'd like some tea." I brewed the tea for him, performing the motions with grace and elegance, something I had practiced since childhood. He glanced at me before quickly averting his gaze and spoke in a cold tone. "What did you say to Muyu? Why did she leave the banquet early? Do you know that you've taken her future husband? You've wronged her." I didn't answer his question and spoke softly. "Wei Shao, do you hate me?" He picked up the teacup, his expression icy, and said in a suppressed voice, "Not really." Before finishing half of his tea, he seemed unable to hold back any longer and asked me, "Miss Chin, if you were a nobleman's son with a wife of equal status, and suddenly had to marry the daughter of a lowly merchant, enduring the ridicule of your classmates, wouldn't you be angry? How would you treat the merchant's daughter?" His dark eyes were cold, and when he said the words lowly, a flash of anger crossed his eyes. I remained calm. "You look down on me, don't you? You think I'm not worthy of you, do you?" He bit his lip and remained silent, answering me with his silence. "Yes." The second young master from a prestigious family looked down on me. A lowly merchant's daughter. Just as his mother had deemed me. A woman from the Qin family wasn't even worthy of tying his shoes. "Mr. Wei," I said slowly, "you should know that our marriage is nothing more than a business transaction. No one forced this upon us. From the very beginning, it was the Wei family who sought out the Qin family. If there is nothing to gain from this lowly merchant's family, why would you, a nobleman of such high birth and prestige, deign to marry me and humiliate yourself?" His face turned pale, and he clenched the cup tightly in embarrassment. I smiled slightly, but my tone was icy. If I were that noble young master, I should treat the innocent daughter of another family properly. Don't waste your education on the classics. Taking another family's heir, spending the money of a lowly merchant family, and then mistreating their daughter. What's the difference between that and a beast? He suddenly stood up, furious, and threw the hot tea in his cup at me. The hot tea splashed over my face, burning it red, and the porcelain cup hit my head, causing blood to flow from my temple. His face turned dark as he pointed at me. "You brought this upon yourself." But he knew he was in the wrong, so he clenched his jaw and said stiffly, "It's getting late. I'll leave first. It's just a minor injury. You can handle it yourself. If this reaches my father and grandmother, I won't spare you. After we're married, I have 1,000 ways to make you pay." Your mother was right. You were born into a lowly family and never learned proper manners. Now it's clear you don't even know how to speak properly. You truly need to be taught proper manners. Tomorrow morning, you will go to your mother to learn them." He swept his sleeve and left. I stopped the maid who was rushing to tend to my wound, smiling as I pressed my finger against the cut on my forehead. "What's the rush? This is a good thing. It's like someone brought a pillow when I was sleepy. There are such foolish men in this world. Quickly go fetch my brother so we can make a scene." When my brother arrived, he understood my scheme with just one glance. He dragged me to the courtyard of the Duke of Wei's mansion and shouted that he wanted to call off the engagement. "My innocent sister hasn't even married into your family yet, and she's already been beaten and scolded. If she were to marry into your family, wouldn't she be beaten to death?" The Duke of Wei awoke from his sleep and flew into a rage upon hearing this. "Who dared to hit my sister?" When he saw the terrifying wound on my face, his expression turned ashen. "Who did this?" The servants outside trembled as they knelt down. It was the second young master who did it. We heard him say it outside the door. The second young master also said that Miss Chin should go to the ladies' chambers tomorrow morning to learn proper etiquette. My elder brother rose with a cold smile and bowed to the Duke of Wei. How ridiculous! Though my Qin family is a merchant clan, it was an old maid who once taught etiquette to the empress and princesses in the palace who taught my sister proper manners. The Duke of Wei has always looked down on the Qin family. Why bother with this marriage alliance? Wei Shao entered the room, glared at me, and sneered at my elder brother. What a bold statement. Father, if you want to call off the engagement, so be it. Without the protection of the Duke of Wei's mansion, I wonder how the Qin family will survive in Yangzhou. Will the old prefect spare them? Wei Shao was unaware that my elder brother had already arrived in the capital ahead of me, using his status as the future brother-in-law of the Wei Guogong mansion to mingle in brothels and taverns, befriending many descendants of prominent noble families in the capital. These individuals, with no claim to their families' titles, were nothing but second-generation wastrels who knew nothing but eating, drinking, and carousing. Yet the roots of their families were deeply intertwined and intricate. My elder brother had already connected with the son of the princess of the Ningbo Marquis mansion, who had introduced him to a high-ranking eunuch in the palace. The court was planning to produce a batch of ceremonial porcelain and would select a family from the commoners to participate. My elder brother had given most of our family's wealth to the eunuch and the princess, and the Qin family had successfully secured the top spot among the participating merchants. Wei Shao didn't know, but the Duke of Wei did. The imperial edict granting the Qin family the title of imperial merchant would arrive within days. The Duke of Wei slapped Wei Shao across the face. Kneel down. How did I raise you? You've wasted your education. How dare you strike your fiancé? Wei Shao not only refused to kneel but also fiercely grabbed the cup nearby and threw it at me again. After my elder brother blocked it, the Duke of Wei kicked Wei Shao in the chest. Before the Duke of Wei could say another word, my elder brother took me away. On the carriage back to the mansion, my brother applied medicine to my wounds with a stern expression. Look at your injuries. You've killed 1,000 enemies but injured yourself 800-fold. I winced in pain. Wei Shao's mother cannot tolerate me. After I marry Wei Shao, the old matriarch of the Wei family will have to hand over the household management rights to her for the sake of Wei Guogong's face. Then my life will be miserable. I must obtain the household management rights of the Duke's mansion before the wedding to control my future mother-in-law. Now that Wei Shao and I have come to blows, I am the victim. The Duke of Wei will come to negotiate compensation with us. Wei Shao refuses to come and apologize to me. Even if the Wei Guogong breaks the ritual staff and locks him in the ancestral hall without food or water for several days, it won't work. He told the Wei Guogong, I can marry the Qin family's daughter, but she can only be a concubine. My legitimate wife must be Mu Yan. Otherwise, even if I marry the Qin family's daughter, I won't let her live in peace. The Duke of Wei was convinced that Zhou Muyu had instigated Wei Shao's marriage. In a fit of anger, he not only cut off all assistance to the Zhou family but also demanded that Zhou Muyu be sent back. This directly threatened the Zhou family's interests, and Wei's mother could no longer sit idly by. She urged Wei Shao, just marry her. Although the Qin family's background is humble, they are quite wealthy. Do you want to watch our family fall into ruin? Your aunt has approached me several times. Your cousin needs money to secure his position in court, and our family is deep in debt. Where would we get the money? We have no choice but to let the Qin family's daughter into the house. Zhou Muyu, who had been following Wei Shao, felt her legs grow weak upon hearing this. Wei's mother comforted her, saying, Muyu, don't be sad. Once the Zhou family prospers, I will give Qinsher a lethal dose of medicine. Then you can marry Shao as his second wife. The dowry Qinsher brings will eventually belong to your children. These words did not comfort Zhou Muyu. Instead, they made the maidservant by her side go pale. They had long considered themselves Wei Shao's concubines, waiting for Zhou Muyu to marry Wei Shao so they could be unveiled. Now that Wei's mother had spoken, they were completely despairing. Madam, our young miss is already 18. We can't delay any longer. Over the years, Wei Mu had delayed Wei Shao's marriage, not only making him older but also making Zhou Muyu older. Wei Mu snapped angrily. What else can we do? It's not our fault the Zhou family has no money or power. Blame yourself for not being born into the Qin family with a father who's the richest man in the country. Zhou Muyu's face turned pale, and she fainted from anger. Wei Shao finally came to me reluctantly to apologize. Though he said it was an apology, it was actually a warning. Once you marry into the family, you need not manage the household affairs. You have taken Mu Yan's place. I will marry Mu Yan as a concubine, and all household matters will be under her jurisdiction. You come from a lowly background and are likely illiterate. Do not disgrace yourself. My elder brother laughed derisively. Who said my sister would marry you? He threw the marriage annulment document at him and said, "Get out." Wei Shao was so angry he trembled, snatched the marriage annulment document, tore it to pieces, and stormed out. My brother relayed everything Wei Shao had said at my house to the Duke of Wei exactly as it was. At the same time, the imperial merchant appointment was issued to the Qin family. That night, the Duke of Wei's mansion held another banquet, inviting me and my brother to attend. The Duke of Wei personally wrote down his promise. After I marry into the Duke's mansion, not only will the household management be under my authority, but the future heir of the Duke of Wei will also come from my womb. Looking at Wei Shao and his mother's pale faces, I smiled and added another clause. Wei Shao was not allowed to take a concubine. This time, he couldn't hold back any longer and stood up, about to scold me, but was glared back by the Duke of Wei. Zhou Muyu, standing nearby, shed tears and ran away crying. Wei Shao wanted to chase after her, but under the Duke of Wei's icy gaze, he could only force himself to hold back. My brother and I pretended not to see, and the Duke of Wei awkwardly smiled. The two families resolved their hostilities into harmony that night. The date for my marriage to Wei Shao was also set that night. The day before my marriage to Wei Shao, Zhou Muyu came to find me. Her eyes filled with hatred as she confronted me. I've already given up competing with you. I even gave up the position of main wife for you. Why won't you even give me the position of concubine? Do you really want to drive me to death? I replied indifferently. The families the Duke of Wei found for you are all prominent and wealthy, matching your family's status. It was your aunt who refused them all. You shouldn't blame me. You should know that the Wei family did try to find a match for the Zhou family. But the Zhou family couldn't come up with the money the Wei family needed to save their lives. She exclaimed angrily. You're just relying on your family's money. Since you want to drive me to death. She coldly laughed. Let's see who dies first between us. She finished speaking and left. The next day, Wei Shao was on his way to the wedding when he was stopped by Zhou Muyu's maidservant, who was crying. The young lady left a letter and has gone missing. After reading Zhou Muyu's farewell letter, Wei Shao immediately rode off to find her and never returned. As time ticked away, the Duke of Wei was so enraged he nearly fainted. His elder brother exclaimed angrily, "This is a disgrace. It's not just your family's honor that's been tarnished, you've brought shame upon the Qin family as well. You're forcing my sister to her death." The Duke of Wei was so angry his head ached. But he could do nothing. As everyone fidgeted like ants on a hot pan, Wei Shao, the elder brother of Wei Shao, appeared in a wheelchair. The Qin family is the Wei family's benefactor. I am willing to marry the Qin girl first to resolve this crisis. Once the Qin girl wishes to divorce and remarry in the future, I will release her immediately without delay. The Duke of Wei's eyes lit up as he looked at my elder brother. My wise nephew. What do you think? The marriage between the two families was not originally arranged for Wei Zhao, as he was in poor health, and the imperial physician had said he would not live past 7 years. That was why Wei Shao was chosen instead. My elder brother said bitterly. There is no other choice. Wei Zhao was frail. After we completed the wedding ceremony, He fell asleep. The wet nurse asked me in confusion. Now that the Qin family has the Ningguo Marquis mansion as their backing, why does the young master still want you to marry into the Wei family? I smiled faintly. Adding flowers to brocade is no match for bringing coal in winter. The Wei Guogong mansion is now in decline, struggling to make ends meet. Only our family can help. The Ningguo Marquis mansion is full of wealth and prestige. But they only show favor to my elder brother because he is useful. Our family became imperial merchants, so they deign to give us a little face. These high-ranking nobles have never looked down on us merchants. One day, if something goes wrong, the Qin family will be abandoned by the Ningguo Marquis mansion, and even dragged out to take the blame. A patron is something you can't have too many of. But you can't have too few either. They must balance and check each other. And only the small beasts caught between the cracks can survive. The wet nurse said worriedly. That may be true. But this is your lifelong happiness. You married such a sickly husband. And you'll be a widow in no time. Miss. I feel so sorry for you. I wrung out the handkerchief and wiped Wei Shao's face. Today's unexpected turn of events caught both me and my elder brother off guard. We had planned everything meticulously, but we never anticipated that Wei Shao would elope with Zhou Muyu, nearly putting me in mortal danger and disrupting all my plans. Fortunately, Wei Zhao stepped forward. I looked at Wei Zhao's handsome features and smiled. I actually think it's for the best. Marrying him is much better than marrying Wei Shao. Wei Shao is in poor health and won't live much longer. His condition won't allow him to take concubines or mistresses. Now, the authority to manage the Wei Guogong mansion is in my hands. As long as Wei Zhao leaves me an heir to inherit the title, my life will be smooth sailing. Besides, he's so handsome that just looking at him is a pleasure. I don't know much about Wei Zhao, but my elder brother interrogated and inquired about him and told me. Wei Zhao was born to the first wife of the Duke of Wei. He was intelligent and well-educated from a young age. After his mother passed away, the Duke of Wei married another wife, Zhou, who gave birth to his legitimate second son, Wei Shao. Since then, Wei Zhao has been bedridden with illness. I nodded. In high-ranking families, there are more complicated matters than in ordinary households. It seems to be a disease caused by external factors, so it should be treatable. I recruited renowned doctors to treat Wei Zhao. Wei's mother mocked me. You'll be a widow sooner or later. Why bother struggling? I didn't like what she said. That night, she choked on a fishbone and never spoke again. The Duke of Wei, angered by Zhou Muyu and Wei Shao's elopement, completely disowned the Zhou family and ceased all ties with them. My elder brother sent me 2 women of exceptional beauty and talent from Yangzhou. I had them assigned to clean near the Duke of Wei's study. Soon, one of them managed to climb her way into the Duke of Wei's favor. Not long after, Lady Wei developed mental illness and was moved to a side courtyard for rest. I destroyed the incense burner in her room and transferred her personal maidservants to my courtyard. I left them to work without scolding or summoning them. The servants in the courtyard observed my attitude for a while and began to band together to exclude these women. Soon, someone couldn't resist coming to me to report the Wei matriarch's years of wicked deeds. The Duke, upon hearing this, was furious. When my grandmother learned that Lady Wei's actions had caused Wei Zhao's illness, she fainted from anger. Lady Wei was moved to a secluded estate outside the city and placed under house arrest. And the mansion fell into complete silence. Under my careful care, Wei Zhao's complexion improved significantly. One night, after taking his medicine, he spoke to me with a pale face. "Sway sway. Thank you." I waved my hand at him. It was no trouble at all. And besides, we are now husband and wife. His earlobes turned red, and he softly hummed in response. From others, I learned that Wei Zhao had endured a difficult life in the Wei family over the years. Since the death of Wei Zhao's uncle, his mother had stopped even putting on a show. The eldest son of the Marquis of Wei couldn't even get a full meal. Wei Zhao's mother was from the Marquis of Pingyuan's family. But now there were only the Marquis of Pingyuan's wife and their son left in the mansion. The orphan mother and son not only had to support the family, but also had to deal with their uncles and brothers who wanted to divide the family property. The family was extremely poor. I had someone send silver and a shop to them. When Wei Zhao heard this, he remained silent for a long time. I will not let you down. From that day onward, he began studying diligently and exercising. The doctor said that Wei Zhao's physical condition was very poor and that he needed many expensive herbs to nourish his body for several years before he could recover. I did not think much of it. I have money, treat him. After taking over the household affairs of the Wei Guogong mansion, I laid off many people and expelled all the relatives who were extorting money and refusing to leave. My grandmother was initially unhappy, giving me a cold shoulder, thinking I was being petty and disgracing the Wei Guogong mansion. But later, seeing the growing surplus in the accounts and the increasingly better food on her table, she said nothing more, only praising me endlessly. In the second year after my marriage to Wei Zhao, I gave birth to our son, Wei Yu. At the same time, a maid I had bribed sent a letter from Zhou Muyu's side. Zhou Muyu had also given birth to a daughter. Now they were penniless, and Wei Shao relied on his martial arts skills to live in hiding, working as a bodyguard. The once arrogant and unyielding son of a noble family had bent his back for a few pieces of silver. Zhou Muyu wanted Wei Shao to take her back to the Wei family. Wei Shao refused to return. He stated bluntly that he would never return to the capital until he had made something of himself. This surprised me somewhat. When Ayu was 5, Wei Zhao took the imperial examinations and came in first place. Many people inquired about his marriage prospects. To this day, many still believe I am Wei Shao's wife. Wei Zhao was not pleased and had to explain repeatedly that he already had a wife and children. His older brother's attitude toward him improved significantly. Now, the Qin family's business has taken root in the capital, and they have the title of imperial merchant, allowing their children to take the imperial examinations. I can now consider myself fortunate, with everything in my life in order. On Wei Zhao's birthday, Ayu and I personally cooked a bowl of noodles for him. Ayu's temperament now resembles his father's, gentle and refined. At such moments, I always feel grateful that Wei Shao eloped. If I had had a child with him, I dare not imagine how troublesome the child would have been. As I led Ayu to find Wei Zhao, we passed through the hall and unexpectedly encountered an unwelcome guest. It was Wei Shao, whom I hadn't seen in 7 or 8 years. Upon seeing me, his brows almost instinctively furrowed. Seeing the child in my hand, he angrily exclaimed, "How dare you, a woman of humble origins, marry someone else and bear his child?" I ignored him and simply stroked the child's head. "Ayu, this is your uncle." Wei Shao's expression softened slightly as he joyfully picked up Ayu and placed him on his shoulders to play. "When did you marry, brother? The child is already so big. Where is your wife?" "What?" "I'm right here in front of him." Before I could speak, he handed me the divorce papers he had written. His expression complicated. "Chin Sui. No matter what, it's all my fault. Back then, I was young and naive. Now, after years of military training, I've matured greatly. I've achieved military honors. And once the court awards the silver, I'll return it to you in full. The Wei family owes you money, and I, Wei Shao, will take full responsibility. But Mu Yan has given birth to my children for me. I cannot abandon her. She is a noblewoman from a high-ranking family. If I cannot give her the title of a proper wife, she will be drowned in the gossip of the capital. I must give her a proper status. If you are willing, Mu Yan also agrees for you to be her concubine and live in the Duke's mansion. Rest assured, I will take care of you for the rest of your life." I felt like laughing, but I forced myself to hold it back when I heard footsteps behind me. Upon hearing the servant report that Wei Shao had returned, Wei Shao didn't even bother to change out of his official robes and rushed over immediately. When Wei Shao saw Wei Shao rushing over, he exclaimed in surprise, "Brother, your leg is better?" Wei Shao nodded. "It's better. Now that you're back, go see our father. He's done a lot for you while you were in the army." Wei Shao's expression darkened. The military achievements I earned under a false name and with my bare hands didn't owe a single bit to the Wei Guogong mansion. Ayu got down from Wei Shao and walked to Wei Zhao's side. "Father." Wei Zhao patted his head and ignored Wei Shao, instead addressing Ayu. "It's getting late. Go call your mother to have dinner." Ayu walked over and tugged my hand. "Mother, we should celebrate father's birthday." Wei Shao's pupils contracted sharply. Wei Zhao picked up Ayu with one arm and took my hand with the other, walking through the corridor back to the courtyard. Behind them, Wei Shao muttered in disbelief. "Impossible. Impossible." He tried to catch up to me but was stopped by the guards of the Duke's mansion. "Get out of the way! You blind dogs! Don't you recognize me? I'm the second young master," the guards said coldly. "The Wei Guogong mansion only has the eldest lady. We've never heard of any second young master." His elopement had brought shame upon the Wei family, and his name had already been removed from the family registry. Wei Shao was furious. But he was outnumbered and was forced back. Wei Shao had earned military merits and served in the same court as Wei Zhao. The eunuch approached me on behalf of the Wei Guogong mansion and the family's long-term interests, asking me to recognize Wei Shao once more. "Zhao only listens to you. Now that Shao has achieved military merits, he and Zhao are still blood brothers. The imperial court is filled with dangers. It's better for brothers to support each other than to be enemies in the dark." I looked at Ayu's profile as he studied and agreed. I must pave the way for Ayu's future. The two brothers of the Wei family, one scholarly and the other martial, each have their own merits in the court. Even if Wei Shao is expelled from the family registry, he remains a descendant of the Wei family and cannot escape the suspicion of the sage. My accommodating attitude surprised both the eunuch and Wei Shao. Wei Shao approached me. "I thought you hated me. You should address me as your elder sister-in-law." He pursed his lips and looked at me, but I returned his gaze indifferently. He said, "In the end, the Wei family owes you, and I owe you. Over the years, you have managed the Wei family well, better than when my mother was alive. I am grateful to you in my heart." I stroked the bracelet on my wrist and said softly, "You know what you owe me." Wei Shao, have you ever thought about what would have happened to me that day if Wei Zhao hadn't stepped forward? Even though you now have a title, Zhou Muyu is still mocked by the noblewomen because of her reputation for eloping. No one in the capital's banquets has ever invited her. And me? If Wei Zhao hadn't stood up that day, I would have been driven to suicide by the taunts. The Wei family would have disowned me for bringing shame upon them, and the Qin family would have blamed me for dishonoring their daughters. You've never considered how difficult it is for a woman to make her way in the world. His face turned pale as he spoke with difficulty. What I owe you, I will repay. What I owe Zhou Muyu, I will make up for slowly. A wedding was held for Wei Shao and Zhou Muyu. Wei's mother couldn't attend, so his eldest sister, who was like a mother to him, came to offer tea to me. Nearly a decade had passed, and now I had everything I desired. Yet they treated me like a stranger. If they behaved themselves, I would tolerate it for the sake of appearances. But if they did not, then they had no one to blame but themselves. Wei Shao's gaze toward me was dark and profound. Sister-in-law, have some tea. After the tea ceremony, there was nothing left for Wei Zhao and me to do. Now, all the assets in the mansion were earned by Wei Zhao and me. We only allocated 2 courtyards on the east side for Wei Shao and his wife. Zhou Muyu deliberately chose noon, when we were having a meal with my grandmother, to confront me. I wonder what mistake my aunt made that my sister-in-law wants to send her to the estate. Now that my second husband and I have returned to the mansion, we can't even stay in our former courtyard. Grandmother, you don't know, my sister-in-law actually gave us the courtyard where the servants used to live. Zhou Muyu's tears fell as she threw herself into Wei Shao's arms and began to cry. Wei Shao frowned at her. I pretended not to hear and continued drinking the soup Wei Zhao had poured for me. Grandmother's expression darkened. Wei Zhao put down his chopsticks and looked at Wei Shao with a cold smile. This is the fine wife your mother chose for you. She's causing trouble during the old ancestors' meal. Disgusting everyone. What did your aunt do that has anything to do with my wife? She was sent to the estate because she plotted to harm the heir and poison the concubine. When father returns tonight, I'll take my younger siblings to him and have him explain everything to you. Is that acceptable? According to tradition, the eastern courtyard with 2 courtyards should not belong to you. Wei Shao eloped with you, and you've already been expelled from the family registry. You're no longer part of the Wei clan. It was my wife who forgave the past and allowed you to return to the Wei family. Your aunt lent money at usury rates and pawned the family shops until they were worth nothing. My wife redeemed them all with her dowry. We didn't even ask you to compensate us. Today, in front of our grandmother, we've made everything clear. From now on, you must contribute to the family fund every month. Otherwise, you'll have to leave. Zhou Muyu stared in disbelief. Wei Shao remained silent and nodded in agreement. I understand, elder brother. Now, having shed his youthful naivety and spent half a month struggling in the bureaucracy, he deeply understood the importance of family ties. He also realized that the reason he had achieved so much so quickly at the border was due to the connections behind the Duke's mansion. Wei Shao was becoming more and more established in the officialdom, and his name had been re-entered into the family registry. He was successful in the officialdom, but at home, he argued with Zhou Muyu every day. The eunuch came to ask me to persuade Zhou Muyu. After all, we are a family, we should live in harmony. Wei Zhao rejected him without mercy. They did what they did back then, causing Sui such humiliation. Now they're in this mess because of their own doing. What does Sui have to do with it? Father, don't be so biased. We've endured enough for them. Even if we can't pour the water evenly, don't spill it all out. The old man sighed and said nothing more. He was old, but Wei Zhao had reached the age of 30. Now the pillar of the family. While I was sewing a felt hat for Wei Zhao, Wei Shao suddenly arrived. He looked at me with burning eyes. I want to take a concubine. I raised my head and glanced at her. The concubine bore a striking resemblance to me. Standing behind Wei Shao, obedient and demure, I suppressed my anger and spoke coldly. Wei Shao, we are no longer children. Don't do such childish things. The Wei Guogong mansion has not come this far easily. Wei Zhao has never held a grudge against your mother for what she did to him. You have supported each other in the officialdom. Don't do something that would cause brothers to fight against each other. His eyes turned red as he stared at the felt hat in my hands and laughed coldly. He took my wife first. This is what he owes me. I picked up the hot tea by my side and poured it over him without mercy. Are you awake yet? You're just jealous because you see me and your elder brother living in harmony and mutual respect, while you and Zhou Muyu are at odds. You've seen the contrast and are venting your frustration here. Wei Shao, you shouldn't be jealous. This is your own choice. He stormed off in anger. 3 months later, the emperor issued an edict, ordering Wei Zhao to assist Wei Shao in suppressing the bandits. I felt uneasy inside. I consulted the oracle several times, but all the signs were bad. Every sign was the worst possible outcome. I was in a state of panic. At first, I married Wei Zhao simply because he was handsome and I hoped he would die young. Now, I don't know how it happened, but the days have passed peacefully, and I can't bear to leave him. I buried my face in his chest and couldn't help but tear up. Don't go. Please. He ruffled my hair. You're being childish. Wei Shao had been standing outside the door for who knows how long. Watching for who knows how long. His hands clenched into fists. When I noticed him, I sat up straight and wiped away my tears. I tried to put the golden silk armor my elder brother had sent for Wei Shao on him. But my fingers trembled, and I couldn't get it right. Promise me you'll come back alive. I and Ayu are waiting for you. You now have a wife and children. You're not alone anymore. Wei Shao. He squeezed my hand tightly and fastened the last button. I know. My wife is waiting for me to come back. Before leaving, my tears couldn't be held back. Wei Shao's gaze kept falling on me. Sister-in-law, is there nothing you want to say to me? I steadied my voice. Wei Shao, you have a wife and a daughter. He gave a self-deprecating smile. They only care about wealth and status, they've never cared about me. Only then did I realize that Zhou Muyu hadn't come to see him off. That's your own choice. A flash of loneliness crossed his eyes as he mounted his horse and rode away. For 6 months. There was no word from them. Zhou Muyu came to the accounts office several times to ask for money. But I refused each time. Her aunt had lost her value. And the Zhou family had now turned their attention to her. They wanted money, connections, and for her to find a way to secure benefits for the Zhou family's descendants through Wei Shao. For her cousin's official position, she argued with Wei Shao for a month. Even when Wei Shao's life was in danger during a bandit raid, she didn't even see him off. I became pregnant again. The doctor said it was a girl. I was overjoyed. Though I didn't like Zhou Muyu, I pitied her daughter. The little, frail child timidly called me aunt when she saw me. Zhou Muyu regretted that she wasn't a son and had been unable to conceive another child. She vented her anger on the child. She never showed her any kindness. Only when Wei Shao was present did she improve slightly. Perhaps because of the current harmony and peace in the household. I rarely advised her. The Zhou family is not your reliance, they will only drag down your marriage and jeopardize your daughter's future. You and Wei Shao have been childhood sweethearts. If you two are together, you'll be fine. She sneered. You call me aunt. And you actually think I'm your mother? What childhood sweethearts? He's never treated my family like his own. I turned away coldly and said no more. I only felt sorry for the child. A few days ago, she looked at my swollen belly and said innocently with concern, "It has to be a brother." I asked her why. She said, "If it's a brother, Uncle Wei will always be good to you." A wave of bitterness spread through my heart. After becoming a mother, I couldn't bear to hear such words. 2 more months passed. And finally, good news arrived. But Wei Shao and Wei Shao had both died together. I was so distressed that I fainted, nearly giving birth prematurely. Zhou Muyu ran to her grandmother and cried, startling the old woman to death. The Wei Guogong mansion was draped in white. And the old man turned white overnight. Zhou Muyu insisted on leaving. She was still young and beautiful, she could remarry. But the old man refused to write a divorce decree for Wei Shao. Not even a divorce notice. Wei Shao betrayed his family for you. And went to the border to achieve glory for you. You wanted to be his legitimate wife. But he rejected the wife I had arranged for him and chose you instead. How could you do this to him? Zhou Muyu's eyes welled up with tears. I was raised in luxury and privilege. I love him and care for him. But your Wei family deceived me. My aunt raised me in the Wei household, telling me all these years that I was meant to marry Wei Shao. Once Wei Zhao passed away and Wei Shao inherited the title, I would become the wife of a duke. But you delayed my marriage and now you don't want me. In the end, you're forcing me to become a second wife. Why? Why? In the end, you forced me to elope with him. I was a pampered young lady. And in the past few years, I've suffered so much hardship with him. I thought things would be better once we returned to the capital. But I've been mocked and humiliated. Now that he's achieved great things, he won't even help my brothers from my maternal family." She pointed at me angrily. "Why can Wei Shao support her brother? His brother is just a lowly merchant. But my brother is the son of an official." My father-in-law flew into a rage. "Your brother is a worthless piece of trash. What's there to support?" I didn't want to listen to their arguing anymore. My brother arrived just in time and held me up. I grabbed his hand, my eyes red, and choked out, "Brother, I must see her, dead or alive. I'm going to find her." My brother gripped my hand tightly. "This is nonsense. You're pregnant. Where do you think you're going?" I wept uncontrollably. My brother wiped away my tears and stroked my head. "All right. I'll go find her for you. I promise I'll find her." I shook my head. The imperial court was rushing to complete a batch of porcelain for the Empress Dowager's birthday, and my brother couldn't spare the time. No matter how I pleaded, he only said, "It's okay. If necessary, we'll start over from scratch. But you mustn't worry. Childbirth is like crossing the gates of hell. Sway, sway. You are the dearest person in this world to your brother. Don't make me fear for you. My brother is also the person I cherish most in this world. How could I possibly watch him risk his life for me with a clear conscience?" That night, I packed my belongings and set off with my guards to the bandit-infested area to search for Wei Shao. Ayu asked me, "Mother, are you going to bring father home? I miss him." I choked back my tears. "I will definitely bring your father back safely. No matter what. Wei Shao, Chang'an is your homeland. I will bring you back." When we arrived at Yanqing, I suddenly went into labor prematurely. At the brink of life and death, I seemed to see Wei Shao. He held my hand and said, "Don't be afraid, I'm still alive. Sway, sway. I'm here." I wept uncontrollably and finally gave birth to the child safely. Wei Shao told me that he and Wei Shao had been ambushed and fell off a cliff. Wei Shao sacrificed his arm to save him. I couldn't believe it. And Wei Shao was also deeply troubled. On the way back to the mansion, Wei Shao asked me if Zhou Muyu and Lianer were doing well at home. Lianer was his daughter. I was unusually silent. "Everyone is safe and sound. Grandmother, upon learning of your passing, she rushed here in distress." Wei Shao's eyes turned red, and I said no more. Upon returning home, Wei Shao burned incense for his grandmother. Zhou Muyu saw him return and wept with joy. Lianer also cried out for her father with reddened eyes. But the truth could not be concealed forever. Zhou Muyu's anger over her grandmother's death, and her decision to leave the duke's mansion after learning of his death, eventually came to Wei Shao's ears. Wei Shao said nothing. After completing the mourning period for his grandmother, he handed the divorce papers to Zhou Muyu. He also gave her all the rewards the emperor had bestowed upon him for his victorious return. Zhou Muyu refused to accept it and tried to kill herself. She left another suicide note and ran away from home to die. But this time, Wei Shao didn't go after her. Their divorce was finalized, and Zhou Muyu was taken back by the Zhou family. Lianer was left behind in the Marquis's mansion. Wei Shao volunteered to go to the northwest to defend the border. Before he left, he came to see me. He had lost one hand and had grown much thinner. Before he could speak, I said, "Go in peace. I will take care of Lianer as my own child. Thank you for saving my husband." His brows were furrowed. No longer the reckless and arrogant young man he once was, nor the confident and triumphant man who had entered the capital. "Thank you, sister-in-law." After he left, snow fell in the capital. Wei Zhao took you out to collect snow, while Lianer helped me select tea leaves. The red stove boiled snow, and the family gathered together. Another winter had arrived. The end.